Welcome to session 145 of the Bible in a Year commentary. If you started this series on the 1st of January, then today should be the 25th of May. Today we'll be looking at Job 24 to 28 and Psalm 140. But so far in Job, we've read through the prologue, the first and second round of speeches and started the third round. We read as Job was exalted as a model example of a righteous man. God held court with his divine beings and heard reports, including the report of the Satan. Think of this as a job title, rather than the big bad guy of the Bible. The Satan asked the question, was Job genuinely righteous and faithful, or was he just behaving that way because God was blessing him? So God put this theory to the test, removing all of his blessing and favour from Job, and leaving him alone and with a body full of sores. But despite all this, Job didn't sin or turn from God. He did, however, lament his situation, crying out that it would be better if he hadn't been born, and asking God why he won't just let him die. To begin with, Job's friends chose to sit with him and mourn with him, but then they started to rebuke him, leading to the first round of speeches. Eliphaz started off gentle, praising Job for his past wisdom and pointing out that God is just and punishes the wicked. Either Job is innocent and God will rescue him, or he is guilty and deserves what he gets. Bildad claims that Job's children must have been wicked and that's why they were punished. He argued that we can see that those close to God flourish and those far from him suffer. Zophar then jumped in to accuse Job of mocking God, saying that Job should be grateful because he deserves worse than what God is currently doing. Responding to them in turn and then as a whole, Job argued that he has every right to bring his case before God. God will do what he will do, and Job is willing to accept that, as long as he can speak to God himself. All these friends want to do is correct Job and hold on to the box they've put God in. They don't want to comfort him or challenge their own assumptions about how God works. This started round 2 of the speeches, where the friends get harsher. They double down on what they've already said and explicitly blamed all of the bad things happening to Job on Job and his children's wickedness. The friends wanted to hold on to their narrow, dogmatic understanding of God, while Job is wrestling with the nuance that comes from lived experience. For round 3, Eliphaz started making up sins he assumed that Job has committed. At this point, Job stopped responding and instead focused on wanting to hear directly from God. So let's jump in with today's reading, Job 24 to 28. Having declared his hope that God will hear him, Job then goes back to focusing on how wicked people seem to prosper while the innocent seem to suffer. He mentions how wicked people will often oppress and make life difficult for the poor and the innocent. Meanwhile, innocent people are doing everything they can to get by and provide for their children. We see the contrast of the innocent who are hungry and naked, walking through the luscious olive fields and vineyards of the wicked. All this is happening, and yet God never charges anyone with wrong. Job points out that there are rebels, murderers and adulterers that are happily living outside of God's light, preferring to be friends with the darkness. Then Job stops and adds more nuance to his argument. Yes, as he's been saying, wicked prosper while innocent suffer. But he also recognises that sometimes wicked people are punished and die, and that sometimes innocent people do cry out to God and he comforts them and is their security. Yet even then, all these people will eventually die and end up with the same fate. For Job, it all just seems pointless with no reason or rhyme. By this point, Job's friends have run out of steam. Bildad gives a brief speech and Zophar doesn't even bother responding for a third time. Bildad changes his tune this time. He doesn't try to argue the wicked will definitely be punished or that God will rescue the innocent. Instead, he chooses to undermine Job's entire complaint. God is mighty and he does what he wants. Who are we to question him? At this, Job resorts to sarcasm. He mocks Bildad, pointing out how much of a help he's been, how great his wisdom and advice have been. Job is fully aware of how mighty God is. God has authority over the seas and the grave. He's the one that holds the earth in place and turns water into clouds. He controls the moon and separates day from night. Heaven trembles at his voice and seas are still. He is mighty both in a whisper and with a loud thunderclap. Then Job turns away from his friends and starts a new speech. Job makes a commitment before God to hold fast to his integrity and righteousness. No matter what happens, Job will seek to do what is right. He declares his trust that eventually God will punish the wicked, even if it's after they have died. Job then lists what he feels is the portion of the wicked man. This is Job 27 verse 13. His children will die by sword. from starvation or from pestilence. Any riches he has gathered will be given to the innocent. His house and his furniture will fade away. The wicked man will be filled with terror, and he will flee from the wind. Then Job begins to question about wisdom. Where do you find wisdom? If you want to find silver, you mine for it. Gold, you can melt it in a furnace to purify it. The same is true of iron and copper. Humans are clever enough to produce bread by farming the earth. The wild animals can't do these things. Humans are also able, with enough perseverance, to dig up mountains and dam up streams. But where can you find wisdom? Too many people wouldn't even notice it if they saw it. You can't dig it up, or you can't pull it out from the sea. You can't buy it. Precious jewels are nothing compared to wisdom. God alone knows how to find wisdom. He sees everything and has ordered the earth according to wisdom. And so God teaches men the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom. That is Job 24 to 28. Now let's look at Psalm 140. The psalm is attributed to King David and falls into the category of lament psalm. Here is a summary of the structure, but I would recommend checking out the written version of this commentary in the description to see the structure properly for yourself. We have verses 1 to 5, deliver me from wicked. Verses 6 to 8, trust in the Lord, my strong deliverer. Verse 9 to 11, the punishment of the wicked. And then verses 12 to 13, confidence in the Lord's righteousness and justice. The psalmist starts with the request. May the Lord deliver them from evildoers and protect them from the violent. It seems that the psalmist is surrounded by people who plan them evil and stir up trouble. Their words are like poison from a snake. So the psalmist again asks the Lord to guard them from the wicked who have set a trap for them. But then the psalmist turns to trust. They ask that the Lord listen to them, for he is their strong deliverer. He is the one that protects the psalmist in their difficult times. The psalmist asks the Lord to cause the plans of the wicked people to fail. May they be overwhelmed by their own mischief. May coals fall on their heads, and may they be flung into a pit that they can't get out of. Don't let these people succeed, but let their own wickedness hunt them out. And so the psalmist ends on trust. They know that the Lord is just. He is caring for the poor and needy. He's also righteous and will cause those who live right to stand strong. While the psalmist is going through a difficult time and is being persecuted, they recognise that their deliverance is based on the truth of who God is. He is a protector and deliverer. He is righteous and justice. Thanks for joining us today. Take a moment to reflect on what you've read and share your thoughts or questions below. If you're watching in the future, then you can click here for the next session, or you can find the full playlist just down here. To receive these daily commentaries in your email inbox, subscribe via the link in the description below. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.